What's up everybody, JZO in here. Today I thought I'd do something a little different, a little magical, I guess you could say. I am actually doing a collab with one of my YouTuber friends. So, I guess, to not beat around the bush, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Robert the Infernape, but you can call me Robert. And today, like Jamie said, I'm doing a collab with him over on his channel, where we are going to go over the top 5 Pokemon that I like that Jamie doesn't. And we also did the opposite thing over on my channel, where we go over the top 5 Pokemon that I don't like that Jamie does. So be sure to check this out right after you're finished with this video.
I don't think I could have said that better myself, so with that out of the way, let's go over a few things before we start. This is, everyone's opinion. You're all entitled to your opinion. You're also entitled to express your opinions. So let us know in the comments below if you maybe like the Pokemon that I don't, or if you agree that these Pokemon aren't all they're up to be. So long as we respect each other's opinions, everyone's happy. So with that out of the way, let's kick this off with number 5, Feraligatr. I can already feel people are going to hate me for this one. Okay, so let me go over what I don't like about Feraligatr. Feraligatr is okay. I'm just not a fan of its design. I think it's just really ugly looking. I don't like how, rough and scaly it is. It looks like it's got bad breath. It's just not an ideal water type, especially coming after Gen 1, which had Blastoise, which was an amazing water type. Oh, and we don't talk about his Gen 3 back sprite and how it's got a buns, hun.
While I do admit, in Gen 3, Feraligatr had bigger buns than the Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man! Literally, Feraligatr is such a great Pokemon. I love its design. It looks so menacing and powerful looking. Plus, I used it quite a lot in Heartgold and SoulSilver, so I've got quite a lot of fond memories to this Pokemon. Plus, I absolutely adore Totodile. Totodile is just so cute and derpy, and I absolutely adore Ash's Totodile. That was by far one of his best Pokemon in terms of personality. I cannot get enough of Feraligatr. It looks so menacing and powerful. I don't get where you're coming from with the whole ugly and looks like it has bad breath. If anything, I feel like you're looking too far into the Pokemon if you ask me.
Hey, I agree with Totodile. I think Totodile is a very cool looking starter. It's very cute, it's very tiny, it's very cool. It kind of reminds me of a Pokemon, which may get into later. But here's the thing about me. In my opinion, Gen 2 probably had some of the weakest starters. There's the Chikorita line, which, I love. And I like the Cyndaquil line. The Cyndaquil line's cool. But it's just, Feraligatr is just that weird, odd one out for me. And let's not even talk about Croconaw as well, because I think Croconaw as a middle stage is ugly. I am not a fan of either Croconaw or Feraligatr. I just don't seem as menacing. I think it's the eyes. I look at the eyes and they just look so derpy, so ugly. I can't help but see it as just this giant, smooth-brained monster, and not it just being like this huge, ferocious beast. I don't see it. But I will give him that Feraligatr is a good Pokemon. It is really good. It has good moves, it has great stats, and it's pretty good for a playthrough, but if I'm going through Gen 2, Feraligatr's not a Pokemon I'm gonna choose.
I can see why you may not want to use Feraligatr, but I personally don't mind the Gen 2 starters. Like you said, I am a massive fan of the Feraligatr line and the Cyndaquil line. I will definitely choose Cyndaquil above Totodile, but I do have a lot of fond memories with Totodile. Especially since in my first playthrough of Pokemon Sun, I actually used the Island Scan feature and found a Totodile, and I used it for a large portion of my playthrough, and it was really, really sick.
It is good to see someone enjoy a nice story, you know, traveling with their Pokemon, as well as just sharing fond memories with it, but I don't really have those memories with Feraligatr. I'm just not really that big of a fan. Alright, for number 4, another shocking one. I get it. It's Manectric. You see, I've used Manectric before. I used it in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I feel like this is a pretty good transition from what I was talking about with Feraligatr, about how a positive experience can significantly impact how you feel about a Pokemon. Too bad a negative one can also be a negative factor. I used Manectric in my initial Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire playthrough, and it was the weakest link of my party, I'm gonna be honest. It felt very underpowered, and I just felt disappointed because I actually really like Manectric's design. I think it's a really cool Pokemon, and its Mega is really cool and powerful too. But just base Manectric just felt lackluster. It felt like it was missing something. You know, it's saying something when I used a Manectric and an Electrode in the same generations, and I found more usage out of an Electrode than a Manectric. I just didn't really enjoy using it.
I find it deeply insulting that you've found Electrode more useful than Manectric. I do agree, its design, its Mega Evolution is badass. Not to mention, that shiny. Holy hell, that shiny is badass. Not to mention the fact that it is such a great Pokemon. I don't see how you cannot like the thing. Its design is very sleek. I find all sorts of uses for Manectric, and I just absolutely adore the thing to pieces. I always pick one up whenever I do a playthrough of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, or even a playthrough of the OGs. I cannot get enough of using Manectric. It is such a great Pokemon.
I'm happy to see that Manectric has been very good for Robert. It's amazing to see, actually, that he was able to enjoy Pokemon in the same series of games that I didn't. But it's just, it was so underpowered when I used it. It was fainting like every other battle. I could barely keep it in for like 2 Pokemon before it went down. It was just a huge disappointment on the team. I don't know what else to say. I wish I had a better experience with Manectric, but I guess not. Who knows though, maybe I'll try Manectric again at some point, but for now, I don't plan on using Manectric again. At number 3, another starter. This is going to be a trend. It's Skeledirge. You know how I said that Feraligatr reminded me of another Pokemon that's going to be on this list? Here's Skeledirge. I'm going to be honest, I never really liked the Fuecoco line in Scarlet and Violet. Ever since I saw the initial trailer, I never really liked Fuecoco. And as I played through Scarlet and Violet and I saw the other evolutions, it didn't really get much better. Because it's pre-evolution, you know, the middle stage, it's just Fuecoco but slightly bigger, and a sombrero on its head. It's an egg. And then Skeledirge's, I guess, design. It's a design alright. It just looks like there's too much going on. And there are other fire ghost types that I much prefer over Skeledirge. As good as the Pokemon is, I can't bring myself to like it, even after all this time.
As for me, I absolutely adore Skeledirge. It was the first Pokemon I picked when I picked up Pokemon Violet, and it was absolutely dominating the entirety of the game. Honestly, I cannot get enough of Skeledirge. Like, it is such a badass Pokemon. Only thing I can really find wrong with it is it's shiny. Because it's shiny is god-awful. But still, it is such a great Pokemon. Love its stats, love its design, and honestly, I don't see anything wrong with Fuecoco. Middle evolution, I can see where you're coming from. But Fuecoco and Skeledirge, I absolutely love both of them. Like, out of curiosity, Jamie, have you got something against crocodiles and alligators?
It definitely seems like it, since I'm not liking any of these Croc and Alley Pokemon. As for Fuecoco, it literally looks like a Gibble and a Chili Pepper had some weird mate and somehow produced Fuecoco. It literally looks like it eats rocks. But this isn't about Fuecoco, this is about Skeledirge. Just, there's nothing more I can really say. I mean, it's got a little bird on the tip of its nose, which for the longest time I genuinely thought was a clown nose. And I like what Skeledirge is supposed to be based off, but yeah, no, I never really enjoyed the line. I don't know what to tell you. At least with Totodile, you know, I like Totodile, but I can't bring myself to like the line. I'm sorry. Number 2, another fire starter. It's Charizard. I'm gonna have no friends by the end of this video. Okay, where do I begin with Charizard? My main issue with Charizard is I prefer the other Kanto starters, and like a bunch of other people, I'm just sick of Charizard. I'm tired of seeing Charizard be put in every single game, whilst the other Kanto starters basically don't get any love. I mean, think about it. Charizard in Generation 6 not only got 1 Mega Evolution, but it got 2. The only other Pokemon to get that treatment was Mewtwo, one of the strongest legendaries in the series. But that's not all, right? Let's fast forward to Generation 8, where it also got a Gigantamax form. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the fact that Blastoise and Venusaur only got their Gigantamax forms when the Isle of Armor released, which is a DLC that you have to pay for. I just find that so infuriating how Charizard just gets preferential treatment, while the others are just kind of left in the dust. You know, it makes sense, you know, Charizard's a really popular Pokemon. I understand that, I can see the appeal. But it's just, for such a popular Pokemon, it's so goddamn basic. You can do a lot better dragons than Charizard. Come on.
The reason Charizard gets this much love is because he's basically the second mascot of Pokemon behind Pikachu. And the reason because of this is because that he is beloved by so many people. Keep in mind, when the first Pokemon game ever came out, who was the one Pokemon everybody was obsessed with apart from Pikachu? That's right, it was Charizard. And it was for a good reason too. Everybody loves a fire-breathing dragon. And what was Charizard? A fire-breathing dragon. Not to mention the fact that the anime also played a big role in this, because of the fact of Ash's Charizard. Ash's Charizard was an absolute goat. He was absolutely amazing. I love watching every Charizard moment possible. Like all of his battles, all the flamethrowers to the face, all of him being a douchebag. Like, it is absolutely funny. As for the 2 Mega Evolution kind of thing, I believe they did that so that way they can show version exclusive Mega Evolutions. Yes, they could have just done this with Mewtwo, but I feel like giving Charizard 2 is a very wise choice. So that way, depending on which version and the player is playing, they can either have the option of having Mega Charizard X or Mega Charizard Y, depending if they want to choose Charizard and depending on which they prefer the look of. As for the Gigantamax, yeah, I've got nothing to back that up. Like, if I were to try to save it, I guess I would say that maybe their original plan was to give all 3 Kanto starters Gigantamax forms at the exact same time, but they decided to leave with Charizard because he's so popular, as well as the fact that they wanted to give Leon a really memorable ace, and they decided to give him Charizard because they didn't give any of the new Pokemon, or any new Pokemon that was actually good, a Gigantamax form.
Not sure I really agree with the secondary mascot one, when it's pretty evident now that Eevee is basically the secondary mascot of the series. As for the Megas, well, yeah, I guess it helps to sell that there are multiple Megas. But there's 2 issues I have with the reasoning. The first one is because, well, there's only 2 Pokemon that have split forms throughout the games. And 2, well, yeah, Charizard is a decent candidate. At the same time, it makes the choice when you go to Professor Sycamore seem kind of biased. Because would you rather go for Squirtle or Bulbasaur, who each only get 1? Or would you rather just choose Charmander, who gets 2 of them? And I'm pretty sure you are able to get both of them in the same version as well. At least you are in the later games. It just feels kind of scummy. I'm not sure. And like, to back it up further, because I just thought about this. In Generation 9, who was the first ever Pokemon that showed up in like the special raids? Charizard. It's so annoying seeing Charizard get all the glory, yet the other Kanto boys don't get any love. And honestly, it feels like Charizard is getting more than Pikachu these days, and that's saying something when Pikachu is the literal mascot. As for the anime, I do have to agree. I do like Ash's Charizard. I love the development of it. How it started off as like this weak little Charmander that was saved, to becoming a Charmeleon that just wouldn't obey him. Up until, I think it's the Sevi Islands, don't quote me on that, it's been a long time since I watched the anime, when Charizard was injured in a battle, and Ash, like, cared for it. It's like, yeah, I like that. I like Ash's Charizard. As much as I don't like Charizard as a Pokemon itself, I like Ash's Charizard. I thought it was a good Pokemon. But I don't think anything's going to change the fact that Charizard's just way too oversaturated. And you can tell because there are people who are getting really sick of seeing Charizard. I probably wouldn't have him this high if the Gen 1 starters simply just got the same treatment.
I personally think that Charizard is more of a mascot than Eevee. Like, before Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, no one gave a crap about Eevee. I mean, not literally no one gave a crap about Eevee, everyone loves Eevee. But no one can compare as much as Charizard, because, let's be honest, Charizard made Pokemon. Like, both Pikachu and Charizard practically made Pokemon what it is. And most of the Charizard hate, I personally think, comes from 2 groups of people. One is the brand new Pokemon community, where we get in new players, where people just don't really care about it as much as the older generation do. And then there's the older generation who don't really roll with Pokemon as much as someone compared to me and you. Because, I'm gonna be totally honest, Pokemon can be a bit hit and miss sometimes. Because there's gonna be the new generation that aren't really as dedicated as some of the older ones. And then there's the older ones that fell out of love with Pokemon but still care about their favourite Pokemon from when they were growing up. Charizard being one of them. And personally, I don't see why they wouldn't give love to Charizard. because Charizard made Pokemon.
Whilst that may have been the case in a point in time where people just loved and supported Charizard, nowadays it's not like that. I don't think Charizard made Pokemon. I think the over 150 different species of Pokemon made Pokemon. But I think that's enough of Charizard for one day, so let's move on to number 1. Yet another fire starter. Incineroar. Man, where do I begin with Incineroar? Okay. Let's start from the beginning, okay? So we had Litten. Litten was cute, it was cool, it was adorable, it was like a little fire cat. We were praying to God it didn't turn into a firefighting type. Then we had Torracat. Torracat was basically Litten, but even better. You know, it's bigger, stronger, looks cooler. You know, it loses a bit of that adorability, but it can still be cute. And then you get Incineroar. What did they do to this thing? Did they pump Torracat with a bunch of steroids and just said, "That's our new Pokemon, launch it out"? Incineroar, just the design disgusts me. It looks so... ugh. It honestly makes me uncomfortable just looking at it. And it sucks because I used Incineroar, and Incineroar is a powerful Pokemon. You know, it gets good moves, it gets like Darkest Lariat. It's a really good Pokemon in a playthrough, but it just looks so horridly ugly. And this is coming from someone who used to main Incineroar in Smash. It's like, even then, even the funny Garfield skin I would put on it just didn't fix this Pokemon for me. I feel like Incineroar could have been something so much greater, so much better. But this is what we got. Just Tony the Tiger's weird cousin that he kind of just puts up with at like family meetings. It's just, I don't really see the appeal visually.
Funny how you bring up the tiger, because when it comes to Incineroar, I'm feeling great! I cannot see why people don't like Incineroar. I adore it. It was the first Pokemon I picked back in Sun and Moon, because every time a new Pokemon game comes out, 9 times out of 10, I usually pick the Fire Starter. And I adored using Incineroar. Wasn't a big fan of using it in Sun and Moon because limited moveset, but when Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came around, this thing became a beast. Fire Punch, Darkest Lariat, Thunder Punch and Brick Break are the moves I always teach Incineroar every time I pick one up. Incineroar is just an amazing Pokemon. I absolutely adore this thing. And as much as my friend David, also known as Dr. Amnesia, tells me that his fire belt is basically an extendable fire penis, I still adore Incineroar. Its design is amazing, I love how powerful it is, and I also love how useful it is in competitive. Because keep in mind, a few years back, Incineroar was used really often in competitive play. Not only the fact that it is just badass, like, you would not want to run into this bad boy in the middle of the street because that thing will tear you to shreds and not give a monkey's ass.
His belt's a fucking what? Okay, fire penis belt aside, yeah, I thought Incineroar was good even in just base Sun and Moon, which was the games that I used him in. And yeah, he's really good for competitive. I don't know anything about the anime. I never watched the Gen 7 anime, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really like the art style. But Incineroar is one of those Pokemon designs that I don't think is ever gonna grow on me. I feel like Sprigatito learned Litten's lesson. And I think with that, we are done with this video. I'd like to thank Robert the Infernape for joining me on this video. And, you know, if you want to see the opposite end of the video, where we go over what Pokemon I like that Robert dislikes, I'll not only leave a link to the video in the description, but I'll also link his channel down below so you can give him some support. So, Robert, is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on the video, and hopefully we can do some more collaborations in the future. Also, cheers for all the shout out. I hope you guys come over to my channel and check out some of my content. I don't think is as well edited as Jamie's videos, but I like to think that my videos do have some decent quality, despite me not having the greatest technology in the world. So I hope to see you over there should you choose to come over to my channel.
Come on, man. No need to sell yourself short. You've got some pretty good content over on your channel. So yeah, like you said, if you enjoy what you saw here, you'll probably see more of that on Robert the Infernape's channel than my channel. But despite that, I guess that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, you know, leave a like, leave a comment. Let us know what Pokemon you may like or dislike in the comments below. And thank you all for watching. And with that, I'll see you all next time. Peace.